Hello again, it's Garson, and this is going to be a quick guide for the Sorcerer Subclass, Draconic Bloodline. So what I'm going to do to demo is we're going to haste. This gives me 2 actions while I concentrate. I'm actually going to use meta magic, toss out 2 really strong firebolts. There we go, with all the charisma bonuses we add in. Alright, now what I'm going to do is ramp up my spell accuracy. It's at 11 right now. What I'm going to use is a lower level Scorching Ray. Every hit is going to raise my accuracy. Boop. So we were at 11, now we're at 17. That means we're going to top everything off. We're going to go in fully loaded with 7 beams using our bonus action, Quicken Meta Magic. There we go. And we add in a lot of damage with our subclass bonus, our staff bonus, our spell might bonus, and so on and so forth. This is Draconic Sorcery. All right, so let's do a quick guide. So, big thank you to you guys supporting the channel. I'm going to dive right into this, but thank you so much for the request. We're talking about Sorcerer, the subclass Draconic Bloodline. If you wanted to wield a specific element, like a Pyromaniac, or if your dad was just a dragon, this is your subclass. And I've broken it down like this in the video, so cut around as needed. It's a quick guide on my channel. That means we're not multi-classing or even trying to make the best build, but we are trying to get to the point of the subclass and do its thing really well. So if you don't understand how to play this, this might be for you. I have more in-depth breakdowns, so we're going to go at a breakneck pace. Ready? So let's just have fun with it. What it is a caster that's dedicated to damage, but only with a single element. And how it does that is there's not a lot of features to this, but Sorcerer's already really powerful. It just lets us specialize in a specific damage. We're going to do fire in this video, but you can take the same elements here and apply them overall to any element like cold or lightning or whatnot. They all have bonuses and differences, okay? So permanent armor class increase when we're not using armor. If you've ever used mage armor, you have to spend a spell slot. Now you don't have to. You just get this at level 1, so it's a nice bonus. And you do get charisma increases to your damage. So this modifier right here would add to every single spell or cantrip of your chosen damage at level 6. So I went with fire, so all of my fire cantrips and spell add that much damage to their attacks. Resistance to that element kind of makes sense too, and at level 11 we do get the ability to fly, getting to higher levels and just really being able to access and move around easily in the battlefield. No difficult terrain. If I had to tell you the best, most important stats, basically charisma is number 1. It does a lot for us. To keep it simple, it's your accuracy for spells, but it also gives us a spell damage bonus at level 6, like I said. And then there's also the bonuses to dialogue, which could give you XP outside of combat. And then you can murder everything for more XP. And it does give you a persuasion bonus, which is a shop prices bonus, if you didn't already know that. So dexterity is the next most important thing. We're going to more than likely use no armor, so especially for the potent robes. So this gives us a bonus to armor class when we're not wearing armor. Gives us a bonus to initiative, so we can go first more than likely. And then we also have the backup option for damage with 2 hand crossbows at ranged. Constitution is really important for HP bonuses, but more important for concentration. At level 1 we do get proficiency for even more boost to our concentration saving throws. So it's really important right there. But if you had to start off, I would recommend 16 dex, 14 constitution, and then let's go into charisma at 16, because at level 4 we're going to boost it up to 18, and at the end we're going to get to the 20 with our final feat. We really want to be at 20 or higher, especially on honor mode, but at level 8 we're actually, for our second feat, we want to take Warcaster. In my opinion, if you're not familiar or understand concentration, this makes the game much easier when you want to use powerful concentration spells and not lose it. Wall of Fire for 10 turns, especially haste sucks when you lose this, or even something as simple as Fog Cloud. You're going to want Warcaster, so this makes it a lot easier to maintain concentration. So what about equipment? So for any sorcerer, any Draconic sorcerer, you may want to hone in on potent robes and the elemental augmentation amulet, because with your level 6, if we add in our charisma 3 times with the potent robes, the element, and the Draconic subclass at level 6, our cantrips can do a lot more damage thanks to this little number here being amplified 3 times. So this is going to give us a lot of power on a spell that doesn't use any resources, so we always have a reliable attack. Next up, especially for fire sorceries, this is specifically for fire sorceries, we want fire acuity. Every time we do fire damage, any type of fire damage, we're going to get more accurate with our spells. The Spell Might gloves in Act 3 are really powerful. It's sort of like sharpshooter all in. You're going to lose an attack roll, accuracy roll penalty, but you will make up for it by having more damage. So if you have a lot of accuracy, you can turn these on in the same way and get more damage on your spell attack rolls. They have to be spell attacks similar to a ranged attack, okay? So the Eversight ring is really awesome because you can use almost like a Devil Sight darkness combo where you can blind an area. You would normally be blind in here, but thanks to the ring, you are not blind. You're blind immune. And this will actually give you advantage on targets that cannot see you. So use that to your advantage. Pretty cheap, effective thing to use concentration on. Next up is any kind of staff until you get this legendary staff. Any staff that raises spell attack or any really weapon that raises spell attack is really what you want here. That's going to be your accuracy on things like Firebolt and Scorching Ray. But again, just pay attention. The difference between an attack roll and a saving throw is related to an attack roll and a spell save DC roll. Okay, so this is going to give boosts to usually both of them, but later on you really want the Marco. Every elemental sorcerer wants this because you choose an elemental for short rest and it'll give you a lot of cool bonuses, namely bonus damage and free spells, and we'll keep it that simple. So Act 3, you can really easily get this even early on. Just find a guide. I'll try and link one myself. So for for 2 crossbows, sorcerers really like having the additional attack on the bonus action with an offhand crossbow, so they can play at range, get a sneaky free attack in, doesn't cost any spell slots or sorcery points. You never know when this could actually get you the kill. So I would recommend having 2 crossbows. Specifically for fire sorcerers, you really want Yogur's Hellfire or hand crossbow because you get a free Scorching Ray every single short rest. And then in general, if you don't really know where to get a lot of these pieces and you're just playing honor mode or anything for the first time, just go for pieces that kind of give you bonus to armor class. If you stay alive and don't get hit, you can maintain concentration and get more damage in, right? Otherwise, raise your spell attack using staves or anything with this arcane enchantment bonus. Pretty simple, or at least that's as much as I can. For elixirs, you should use heroism if you're having trouble landing your attacks, but if you're successfully landing your attacks or you've ramped up a lot of fire acuity, right, you can use Bloodlust to get a whole nother action. So you would have another action point to cast Firebolt, Scorching Ray. So if you combo this with haste, and we'll talk about meta magic where you can cast with your bonus action, right, you'd have 4 attacks after killing somebody. That's a lot of attacks thanks to Bloodlust and all the other stuff. And for fire sorcerers, pay attention. There is this lovely oil you can coat your ranged weapon and it'll get rid of fire resistance for a couple of turns, and you will run into fire resistance specifically. So how do you actually play a Draconic Sorcerer? Well, especially for fire sorcerers, but any of them, pay attention. You want to effectively have a cantrip that lets you attack without using any kind of spell slot or resource. And then you can enhance this, like I said, with the equipment like Potent Robes, Elemental Augmentation, and your level 6. So you always have a reliable, powerful spell that doesn't cost anything. But then when you want to do a lot of damage, you want to use your spell slots. And for fire, it's mainly going to be Scorching Ray and upcasting it when you know you can hit a lot. Every time you upcast Scorching Ray, it does more attacks. That's what makes it so powerful, in addition to raising the damage with your level 6. So to keep it simple, you want to be efficient with your cantrip on any sorcerer, and you want to find the spell slot. Like for lightning, you might want to use Lightning Bolt to really do some bursty damage, but you want to use Shocking Grasp as your efficient attack with your cantrip. So any of these sorcerers are going to work the same way, but for fire, we want Firebolt, and then burst, we want Scorching Ray. For quicken meta magic though, this is going to give us a whole nother attack. It doesn't matter if you use a cantrip or a spell. It's going to use 3 sorcery points, which is very costly, but it gives us even more burst potential. So in addition to using powerful spells, we can also cast 2 of them with an action and a bonus action. That's a lot of burst, even in the early game. Then we have lightning. The reason I put this here is, say I specialize in fire. What I'm getting at is this is your bread and butter damage type, but you want to back up damage type. So choose spells that kind of complement. If you're running into any kind of immunities, you can now use some other element. You'll do less damage because you're not specialized in it, but you're still attacking and doing damage. You can also get in a little more damage with the offhand shots with the crossbows. So also, I recommend to every sorcerer, you want to have Shocking Grasp. This effectively lets you have a disengage. So if somebody is next to you trying to attack you, on your turn, you can shock them. If you land the hit, they won't be able to do opportunity attacks and you'll safely be able to run away. Also for fire sorcerers, once again, you really want to get Arsonist Oil that gets rid of fire resistance. And with that being said, pay attention to resistances. All of your elemental play needs to be looking at the cheat sheets and seeing, this enemy resists my main damage type. If they're immune or resistant, you may want to switch over to something else. Or for fire sorceries, you really want to get rid of it with Arsonist Oil. So prep ahead of combat. If there's fire resistance, for instance, maybe whip out your crossbows, have them ready, and then go ahead, use this coating. And now I can shoot somebody with my crossbows and eliminate their fire resistance. Then I can attack them with fire spells. So Act 2, the only way this really ramps up is especially with sorcery points, with haste, and with Quicken meta magic using our bonus action, right? Basically, if we use haste and Quicken, we can cast 3 firebolts, 3 shocking grass, 3 scorching rays. That's a lot of attacks in one turn. Even if it's costly, it's worth it in certain scenarios. So you're really going to want to learn how to balance sorcery points. In Act 2, you'll have more sorcery points at the start of your day, in addition to more spell slots to play around with. And you can always convert them between the two if you need to. So Fog and Eversight Ring, we showed that combo off. You can finally get this ring, so you can now use this cool combo. And the Fire Acuity Hat for fire sorceries, this becomes available in Last Light from the Strange Ox. So I would highly recommend to fire sorcerers you ramp up. What I mean by this is you ramp up your accuracy, this thing right here, by attacking with any kind of fire damage, maybe something like Firebolt that doesn't cost any resources. So a couple attacks with your Firebolts, you ramp up your accuracy, and when you're ready to unload with really high accuracy so that every single shot lands, all 6 of these are going to land now, then you can burst them down with a powerful spell slot usage. So this is why I recommend getting the free spells any way you can, like Yogurt's Gun. He's going to go ahead and give you a free Scorching Ray on short rest. And Fireball, know what your spells do. Fire sorcerers get a lot more, I'd say, utility or more options for attacking. If there's a clump right here, we want to use a spell that blows everybody up. If it's more than 2 targets, instead of using a Firebolt and trying to hit only 2 targets, we can now just blow everybody up, right? So that's definitely worth using a spell slot for. Or Firewall, if you say there's a hallway right here, I could come on over. If I know a battle's going to largely include a doorway, I can line this whole doorway up with a firewall, and they must pass through to get to my team. That's a lot of damage to kill everything with, right? So just keep in mind what your spells can do and how to use them based on terrain. And now in Act 3, we're going to ramp up a lot faster. What I mean by this is, like I said in the early or the demonstration, we want to use a weaker Scorching Ray. It's still costly, right? But then we can use a more powerful Scorching Ray to ramp up. So this is more geared towards fire sorcerers, I admit. But if we hit every single time we hit with these 4 beams, we get more accurate. So we're going to risk using a lower spell slot, a weaker resource, to try and hit as many times as we can. If we hit a lot and we have insane accuracy from the spell attack, bumping from 10 to say 17, we're now more likely to hit all 7 projectiles from upcasting our Scorching Ray. So we really want to ramp up faster. Rather than using Firebolt, we're going to just use a weaker Scorching Ray, then a more powerful one with everything loaded up. Especially with the gloves, we can turn these on or off, and that's how we'll get a lot of damage per shot. There's also the Marco Heshkir staff. We talked about this. So choose your element, get a lot of extra damage with that. And so yeah, we can ramp up with the gloves off when we're talking about the Spellmite gloves. Just like all Sharpshooter all in, we want to turn this on and off right here on the right hand side. So with the first shots, get your accuracy up, then turn them on when you have a lot of extra accuracy. You'll negate the accuracy loss and do a lot of bonus damage like I did at the beginning of the video. And also, you should learn how to fly around at level 11. You should really use fly a lot. So what about multiclassing and leveling? Let's kind of breeze through this. Draconic is very popular for multiclassing because if we look at the stars, I'll kind of briefly explain this. Level 1 gives you the mage armor. So you'll be at a base of 13 armor class for just wearing no armor. It's pretty good. You also have con proficiency for concentration builds, especially for anyone who wants to use haste a lot. Level 1 spell slots and cantrips. Obviously, that's really good. So great for multiclassing. At level 2, we do get meta magic like twin spell. So now we can hit our cantrip on 2 targets. That's pretty awesome. There's also level 3 is pretty good for multiclassing because we get level 2 spell slots. We get the quicken meta magic, which is super popular multiclassing. Now we can cast with the bonus action for 3 sorcery points. And then we also get Scorching Ray, Misty Step. We usually get some kind of really good spell here to blast off with. And we get Misty Step, which is a great escape button spell. So level 4, you get your first feat plus everything we were talking about. Level 5, I wouldn't multiclass because you're getting level 3 spell slots. This means we get haste or maybe even fireball or lightning bolt, right? But if you're going into the subclass, usually what people try to get is level 6 because you get the elemental affinity, and this number, this charisma bonus, is now adding to any of the damage. So say I hit 10 enemies in a line with a lightning bolt or a big clump with fireball, every single target just took an additional 5 of that damage type. So anything that could double its damage, like lightning, could be really powerful. Level 7, there's the level 4 spell slots, like the lovely Wall of Fire. You could be taking that. Level 8, there's second feat, but maybe save multiclassing for level 9 because level 5 spell slots are very powerful to upcast to, right? If we could upcast our fireball to level 5, it does a massive 10d6 to everybody in that target. And then there's level 10, not much to note there, but level 11, we do get the ability to fly. We get a single level 6 spell slot. And you still have 1 level 2 multiclass with. You'd be surprised what you could do with that. But level 12, you didn't multiclass. You are now a maxed out. You get tons of sorcery points at the start of the day and all these spell slots. So is there any tech or info I could give on the sorcerer, the Draconic Sorcerer? Really quickly, fire is just 1 element of 5. So you could specialize in any of these. Specifically with cold and lightning, they do have the ability to do double damage with the wet condition, which is a very popular choice. The more general idea of this video can be worked with all the elements. Basically, level 6 gives you a bonus to your damage. You really want to highly focus in on 1 damage type and go with that. And again, the bread and butter is use your cantrip so you don't have to use your expensive resources. And then when you're ready and you've got the perfect setup, you can blast off with powerful spells and meta magics and do tons of attacks with Bloodlust, Haste, and Quicken meta magic, right? So it's pretty much the same thing with any of these elements. They just have different benefits. Namely with fire, there's a downside of a lot of fire resistance. But as I said, you really want to go find these arsonist oils. And there is a trick I'll link in a video in the bottom pin section, pin comment section to do double damage with fire. Fire acuity does ramp up spell attack accuracy, so effectively fire does have the benefit of every time we attack we become more accurate and thus can blast off with some really powerful fire spells. So any fire damage will do. Elemental weapons even with a many target arrows, think about that. And there's also, look at all the damage we can stack with a cantrip. So don't fret, a firebolt might actually be one of your best attacks, and the fact that you can twin it, hit 2 targets, or you can just keep casting it a lot with Quicken and Haste. That's a lot of damage you could be dishing out for very little resources, honestly. Scorching Ray, though, for fire sorcerers is super good. Remember, it is upcastable, and for every upcast you get 1 additional attack or beam, and the level 6 is adding damage to each beam, just like Eldritch Blast. So the Marco Staff and this really adds like about 9 more damage per hit. That's amazing. Sorcery points, you can convert these over as needed from spell slots. So if you need more sorcery points, learn how to balance these. You can convert them, but the more you invest in your sorcerer, so if you were all 12 levels, you would get a good chunky amount per day. but just use your meta magic with these. That's what the whole point is. This is really mostly important for quicken meta magic bonus attacks. And then finally, concentration. Here's the quick rundown on this. You do get a nice benefit at level 1 for being a sorcerer, this proficiency, but you really are going to lose haste or any other concentration from slipping on ice, which as a fire sorcerer, you really shouldn't, that should not happen to you. But just keep in mind, watch out for slipping or falling prone and taking too much damage. And that's pretty much it. That's why I told you to take Warcaster. How do you actually play and level these? Where's the actual combat? I have older videos I'm going to link in the pinned discussion or the pinned comments, but basically, go check out Warmaster for a pure ice sorcerer and the Yellow Bard playlist for mostly pure fire sorcery like the one we had here. Or just come join the live stream because I want you guys to ask questions and play the characters you want to play. That's why I make these quick guides. I want you to beat honor mode, but I want you to get the golden dice the way you want to play and the characters you like to build because you're my sponsor. So thank you so much for watching. YouTube membership is only $1, so I really appreciate the extra support. But the best support is go have fun with Draconic Sorcerer.